Hi, as only yesterday morning I was still in Jordan. It was hot, it was sunny. Now I'm back in England, it's rainy, it's cloudy and very windy too. I've come after a snow bunting. There's a snow bunting down on the River Severn, which is not too far from where I live. So I came down to see if I could find it. Somebody put the what 3 words address onto the internet, so I know exactly where it is. And as soon as I got here, there was a snow bunting. It's a single bird, but in between the showers, I've got a few pictures of it so far, but I really want it up on the rocks, which it's not doing so often. But I've been getting just a little bit of shelter behind these boulders. Nice thing today is though, I don't have to worry about the camera. The camera's out there. And that's very, very waterproof, both the lens and the camera body. So that isn't a problem, it's just me. And when it's windy and you get wet, you get cold.
The bird spent much of its time on the floor and on the sheltered side of those rocks, out of the wind, and you can't blame it for that. It was a terrible day. But they are very tough little birds. They breed on top of the cairngorms up in Scotland and right up in the Arctic. They're very used to bad wintry conditions. Very noticeable, this bird spent a lot of time where there was debris like this. This is obviously where there was seeds to be found. I really wanted the bird up on top on the rocks. They're very colourful, covered in lovely yellow lichen. And for some reason the bird found something in this little depression that was obviously a good food supply. I could never actually make out what it was he was eating. Photographically it's not the best because he's got rocks behind him. I really want the bird right up on the highest point, and that didn't really happen very often because of that strong wind. Here he's come to the edge of the rock, so that improves it a little bit. I'd rather just have sky, or was that the sea behind it, or at least the River Severn estuary? I can't remember. I did get some reasonable pictures on the floor in the end. You can see it's a mixture between the River Severn and the sky in the background. But it's right up on the top. That little exposed rock on the left hand side, that would have been the ideal place for him to go. They're both seed and insect eaters, but at this time of year it's going to be seeds, and you can see him taking the seeds off the grass stems and little dart seeds in the grass too. The weather was certainly very rough. It's certainly at the start. It did improve as the day went on. I was able to shoot at my default ISO setting of 1600, and that gave me a shutter speed that varied between 6/40th of a second up to 5,000ths of a second. But it really doesn't matter. When you've just got a bird sitting on a rock like this, the shutter speed is almost irrelevant. With all the image stabilizer we have built into lenses today, you get sharp pictures at very slow shutter speeds. But I was shooting with the aperture wide open the whole time, and with the OM 150 to 400mm lens, that means f/4.5. The rocks were certainly very attractive with all that yellow lichen, and I really wanted to encourage the bird to stay up there. Here I'm placing the GoPro camera low down on the floor. I try this quite frequently and it very rarely works, but I keep trying. The bird is just about to appear on the rocks top right, and when he jumps down I'm hoping to get some wide angle shots of him with the GoPro. I just leave the GoPro running. I don't try stopping and starting it. But with a small bird like a snow bunting, they do have to come very close before this really works. It's more suited to slightly larger birds.
The weather's definitely dried up now. We've got a lot of blue sky up there and the sun is shining. I'm not always too happy when the sun's shining. I prefer cloudy, overcast conditions to photograph in. I only really want bright sunny skies when I'm doing birds in flight. But anyway, it's better than being wet. And the nice thing is with this breeze blowing, it's drying my clothes out very quickly. Every now and then the bird disappears and I just have to walk up and down. I cover about 300 metre length of this rocky sort of wall and at some point he reappears again. Oh, there he is, he's just popped up again.
It's very common for snow buntings to be very approachable birds. It's one of those species that doesn't mind people, and you get very close to them.
No problems getting close to the bird, he's very approachable. I'm using the OM1 camera body with the 150 to 400mm lens. I love having a zoom telephoto lens. For years in my Canon days I had the 600mm, the 800mm, the 500mm fixed prime lenses. There wasn't an alternative zoom lens in those days, but today there is, and I never want to go back to using a prime lens again. It's so handy to be able to just zoom back, and as for that built-in 1.25 extender as well, just throw a switch and it's in. Wonderful.
A lot of bird watchers would have come to see this bird, but the day I was there weren't too many. Just a couple joined me for a short while. I think the weather is what put most people off. I was there for several hours and I managed to get both video and stills pictures done, which I usually find very difficult to do both at the same time. But the bird was there pretty consistently, so I had opportunity. I'll show you a few pictures I've taken of snow buntings in previous years. This is at Salthouse in Norfolk, and for many years this was the best place in the country to photograph snow buntings. It was just so photogenic here, and the ground was very dry and hard. It was easy to lie down on the floor and get level with these birds, and the grass was very short, so it made a wonderful setting for them. Snow buntings can still be found at Salthouse in Norfolk, but it's nowhere near as attractive as it used to be. This is a picture taken from last winter, but that wonderful patch of very short grass they've now lost, and it's just not quite as photogenic. These are taken at perhaps the most well-known place in the UK for snow buntings. It's the car park on the top of the Cairngorms by the ski lift, and especially when there's fresh snow has fallen, it's a wonderful place to photograph snow buntings. Very unlikely you'll be by yourself. There will be a crowd of photographers there, but the settings when there's snow are just absolutely wonderful. And probably late in the winter, February is probably the best time because the males are in their summer plumage and they look spectacular, and you get a bit of interaction between them as they start to fight. Thanks for watching.